Hey guys, just finished watching The Gifted, Season 2, Episode 9, Game Changer. What an episode. Oh my god, this episode was good. It was such an interesting episode. I mean, it's a season final or a mid-season final type thing for the episode, so it really was really interesting. We start off this episode with a flashback for Rebecca, and we see that her parents type thing, they called the essential services on her after she had killed one of her teachers type thing. And I think that was quite interesting, is to seeing that and to seeing that kind of backstory with her, how everyone around her has kind of changed and stuff. So I think that was really quite interesting, seeing that character moment for the character, which was really cool, and I really liked that character. Was really fun seeing her for around. We see the inner circle has, they put Rebecca actually in a kind of spinning like cube box, like a cube circle thing, and it kind of like keeps her spinning inside of there, so she can't orientate herself and be able to kind of break her way out of it and use it and be able to, find a different dimension where to go. She's constantly moving. She can't use her powers, right? So I think that's kind of interesting playing with that, and that was kind of cool dealing with that there. We see the Struckers, the Struckers are finding out that they gotta stop Madeline and stop her research and stuff. So it's like that was kind of interesting, because we saw in the last episode that, that Lauren found out that they were trying to cure mutants completely, make a cure and stuff, and she was convincing her parents at the beginning of this episode really easy on, just kind of telling them that they got to stop her, because what's stopping them from, this becoming like the X-Men Last Stand, where the police officers and the the humans start using it as a weapons against the mutants, curing them without their will, type thing like that. And I think that's really going to be interesting to see, as to kind of where we can kind of play with that. And it looks like, so they've decided they got to try and stop her throughout the episode. So we see Thunderbird promises to let Eclipse shoot to take the first shot at Reva whenever it comes to this, this path that they're on. When if it leads them to Reva, Thunderbird promises to let Eclipse take the first shot. And I think that's kind of cool, going to play with that to see as to kind of where things go when they ultimately attack them, right? So we see Reva. We find that Reva doesn't care when I think, what is it? Can't think of her name. The tech girl who came over, I think, or Sage. Yeah, when she approaches Reva about Rebecca kind of being in the cube in the box and stuff, spinning around, she's kind of screaming for her life, right, the whole time. And when Sage brings it up to Rebecca, she doesn't really care. She's like, so what? She doesn't care, right? And I think that was kind of interesting, dealing with that, to see. It looked like there was a little bit of, they don't really give too much to Sage. She's usually just kind of a bit of a device, type thing to get things, a plot device, or, not even a plot, just a tool in the background. She really doesn't really have too many lines or too much, but just that part there where she brought that up to her and, didn't really bring it up to anyone else, but there's a look on her face when Rebecca kind of just swiped it away, just went like, no, I don't care about it, right, move on. I think that was kind of interesting, playing with that, just to see that, she might not agree with Rebecca, with Reva's decision on that type thing, and not caring about that. Clearly, she cares enough to bring it up to Reva. And I'm wondering if there was a deleted scene or something where she brought it up to someone like Polaris or Andy, or even any of the Frost sisters. I feel like she'd be more likely to bring it up to Frost sisters, but the Frost sisters would obviously just bring it back to Reva, whereas I think she'd probably trust a little bit more Polaris, type thing. So I think that would have been interesting to see that. But I guess it's just something interesting to see that, is that there's one extra person who's kind of not 100%, on there. She might be 99% on board with Reva, but, there's just that little bit that she's that 1% that she's kind of like, it was like, oh, really? I don't agree with that, but I'm going to let it go, right, type thing. So I think that's really going to be cool to kind of see if that goes anywhere, type thing. So we see Thunderbird ends up taking, they hit Thunderbird, Eclipse, and Blink. They end up going after to take Lawrence Hayes. They take him hostage. He's working for Regimen, who's in charge, who controls the callers and stuff, and that's who the inner circles are going after. And I think that is quite interesting. That was a cool reveal, that they can control all the callers just like that, and I think that is quite interesting. I'm surprised that that's really what things are going with that, because with all these callers going around, Magneto hasn't gotten after that with his Brotherhood of Mutants, which still not sure as to where he is. I guess he's disappeared with the X-Men, since we keep hearing reference to them, but we don't really see them. So that would be cool to see that at some point. I think it'd be quite cool to see, maybe at the end, if they get to do a proper ending for this show, whenever. I think it'd be quite interesting to see as to where things are going to go with that. And I think it's going to be quite cool to see the way things go with this show, too, especially with shows like Daredevil, which apparently rumors have it that it was one of the best shows. It was one of the best shows, but it was one of the most popular shows on Netflix. And, Marvel just pulled the plug on it. Probably has something to do with the streaming service coming up, but it depends if they have any plans to do any mutant stuff. If not, they'll probably keep that there. Or since they also owned, since Marvel and Disney own Fox now, they could just move this whole show onto the streaming service, and I would love to see them do that. Maybe keep it exactly the way they're doing it, just put it on the streaming service, or leave it on both type thing. Either way, I think this show is really good. I'd like to keep it around. So we see that Regime. We find that Regime is part of the Regiment, is part of the controlling the collars. They're kind of doing the software and stuff for it. And I think that was quite interesting. Dealing that, it was really cool. Seeing that, so it'd be cool to see where the fallout of that goes for next season, or the rest of this season next year. So we see Andy ends up breaking. He ends up breaking Rebecca out of the cube, and Rebecca decides that she has to go kill everyone in the inner circle type thing for putting her in there type thing. And I think that was quite interesting. And then she goes about to kill everyone, and Andy just kind of launches his powers, and he ends up accidentally killing her. And I think that was such a good moment. Oh my God, that was a great moment. It was amazing, and it was just like he his powers are so strong, and he's able to kind of just do so much damage and stuff. He could probably easily take down an airplane, or just open up a tank if he wanted to. And yet he was able to just send a small blast of energy. It was somewhat controlled, but not controlled at the same time, because all he did was use enough power to knock just her down without, shattering the windows behind everyone, or knocking everyone else over, or even breaking the walls or shattering anything like that. He just did enough precise power to do that, but yet it still killed her. So I just love that about this show, just dissecting that scene on its own like that. It's not like he doesn't have controls of his powers. He does, but it just went the wrong way. It's just that one little bit that just went. If he had hit her maybe at a different angle, instead of going this way the way he did, if he had launched her with the other hand, might have gone into the flat wall and not to the wall with the check, where she kind of snapped her neck, dying kind of the way, Gwen Stacy, the same Gwen Stacy effect type thing with the whiplash, although Gwen Stacy's whiplash, whereas, her Rebecca was kind of the actual corner of the wall, did that. So I think that was really cool seeing that. I think that was quite interesting with that, and building up his motivation to continue on as part of the inner circle. I think that was really cool seeing all that. So we see that Fade is obviously sent after to kill, and he ends up killing Haynes. So the inner circle, Mutant Underground don't have Hayes anymore, and Fade and Thunderbird ends up feeling him, or walking around type thing, and Eclipse, they end up fighting him and all that stuff. That was really cool seeing how they were able to fight him, and seeing how Thunderbird is able to follow and track Fade as he walks when he's in, invisible and stuff. But I'm surprised that, once they figured out that he was there, once Thunderbird recognized that he was there, he must be, and when he's invisible, he must have to walk quiet, right? But I'd like to kind of go into him and follow him a little bit more, just to see exactly how he does it, because when he's invisible, he must have to walk very quiet. And once he was caught, and after he did the shooting, he should have been able to kind of run real fast. And at that point, he's just like, stay invisible, but run real fast, and his feet should be everyone should kind of hear him. So I think that was kind of cool playing with that. He still had to keep quiet when he ran away, because if he ran away fast, he'd make noise, right? And I think that was kind of interesting playing with that, and it was really cool seeing that. We see that Madeline ends up catching the Struckers. The Struckers are trying to, destroy their DNA, Lauren's DNA type thing that samples, so that they could stop them from making a cure for the mutants and stuff. And I think that was interesting with that. I mean, she went down. She got what was his name? Not Sage. Noah. She got Noah to bring her, to show her where the blood is being kept, and then he uses a fingerprint to get in the room, and then uses a fingerprint to put it in the glass container, and I get that. And then as they're leaving, he just lets the door close, and she uses her powers to stop it. Wouldn't he have to pull that door open? And for me, just kind of that little bit, maybe it's a little thing, and maybe it's a little bit too nitpicky or something, but for me, a door like that, high vaulted door, something, high locking system door, usually they're heavier doors, so you can't just let it close like that, it would just it goes real slow. So usually you gotta kind of pull it close and pull it to make sure it's locked. I'm sure, there are a few times or things that, the security's that tight, he'd be making sure it's closed, not just kind of letting her come out last and kind of, just letting it close on its own. Hopefully it would have closed this way, or he would wait to listen for the click, and he'd go and not hear the click and be like, oh, and there's not kind of security alarms that kind of didn't go off when the door wasn't closed, or if the door's open for too long, there's not kind of like, oh, damn, there's, the door's closed too long and no one's been there. It's been in, half an hour since someone's been there. It's been 10 minutes and someone's been in there. Why is it not closed? Why is that not closed? I thought something like that would have some sort of security to kind of prevent the door from getting forgotten open, right? So yeah, there was that. And then we see that Madeline ends up catching the Struckers, and that's when, she kind of just straight out admits that she's trying to, cure the mutants, get rid of the mutants type thing to protect the humans type thing. She, calls Noah even a danger to his society, that he never should have been born, and nor should Lauren. And that's when he kind of loses it too, and he pulls out the pin out of his chest to kind of let off his powers. And I think I like that he was able to kind of, he doesn't completely have remove his powers. He can still pull that piece out, and he was able to kind of let his powers go off, and that's when he helps them, and he starts to kind of destroy the thing. And it looked like at the end of the episode, as they're trying to get out, the Struckers, like Lauren was kind of going to get back, but it wasn't clear that she kind of turned around and went back for him, maybe use her powers to protect him while so the building doesn't fall on him, or what she was really going to do. But I'd imagine she would have to kind of protect her family, and I'd hope that she would go after, her parents, and maybe, because that building looked like it was really going to come down, and looked like they're in the deep basement of that building, so they need to get out real fast. So I think that's going to be interesting to see kind of, I would imagine that, she maybe puts a protective bubble over them and maybe protecting them if the building comes down, or how long it takes for the building to come down, or how powerful really is his stuff. It looked pretty powerful, but we don't know really how much powerful it really is. It might not be strong enough to really go outside of that one floor, but still, it's still the basement floor, so it could crumble the stuff down. But if it's, if it's the foundation of the building underground, it could still kind of, take down some of the building. So I think that's going to be cool to see as to where things go with that. Assumingly they survive that crumbling. It looks like they do from the trailers for next episode. And we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go with her. Especially looks like really interesting to see kind of, looks like she goes after the purifiers in that episode, or that could just be the way they kind of edit it together to make it look like she's going after them. But I doubt she'd go after them, at least alone. That would be kind of silly. But it looks like her powers are going to start evolving for next episode. So maybe there'll be some sort of a time jump, because from one episode to another, why are they all of a sudden evolving out of nowhere? That just seems a bit weird. She's already gone through puberty. She's already had her powers for a while. She's already done stuff, with Andy and stuff. His powers are not really changing. Who knows? But we'll have to wait and see as to kind of the explanation to that. It's going to be interesting to see where things go with that. So we see that Thunderbird, as Shade has showed up, and he's kind of, he shot the Haynes guy. They're attacking him and they're fighting him, right? And then that's when they hear police sirens, they hear cars showing up and sirens and stuff, and it ends up being the purifiers instead. And then, that's when Thunderbird attacks them and kind of he tries to stop their truck, and they pin him with their truck, and looks like in the next episode he survives it clearly, and they have him hostage for the next episode. So that'll be cool to see as to kind of where things go with that. Other things in the next episode, it looks like we see Lauren, we see Polaris actually back with the Mutant Underground. It looks like she's trying to stop Reva Page, so we'll have to wait and see as to kind of where things kind of go with that, and how things are going to continue on. If she kind of leaves them, if she's just kind of sneaking out and kind of giving information to the Mutant Underground to kind of help them stop Reva, and I think that how is that going to affect, her relationship with Reva. I think that's going to be interesting to see as to where things go with that. Maybe at a certain point she doesn't kind of agree with how Reva's doing things. I think that'll be kind of cool to see as to where things kind of go with that. And, does Andy agree with her? What does he not go? Because I could see him now being a bit, after what happened with Rebecca, I think now we could see him, his emotions being overclouded with that guilt over Rebecca type thing. And I think that really could be interesting to see how that kind of plays out and how that affects him going into this rest of this season. Maybe can make him a bit more motivated to agree with them and just kind of push through, and no any means necessary. He doesn't care anymore what it takes. And I think that's really going to be cool to kind of see how that kind of affects them. But it would be cool to see Polaris joining the Mutant Underground. I'd want to see her. I don't want it to just be boom, all of a sudden she's back. I just like to see a gradual build up to that, because that would make more sense than just kind of her all of a sudden one episode to the other just being like, no, I'm not liking that. Unless, Reva literally does something like extremely, terrible. So we'll have to wait and see as to what exactly she wants to do, Reva. It sounds like it's something to do with government. But we'll have to wait and see as to how kind of, what's the reasoning. But maybe I'd like to see kind of a slow burn, because there's always been that kind of like on the face of it, it sounds terrible. What's the next mission? And then it's like, oh, now they're going to attack this. That makes sense, So I think that's really going to be cool to see as to kind of how things are going to go. Like, they're trying to attack this tech company. It's like, why are we just attacking this regular tech company? What have they done? And we find out, oh no, they're in charge of the callers. And it's like, that makes sense exactly why. So I think that's going to be cool to see as to kind of how they kind of deal with the callers. Now the callers are all turned off. How many mutants in prison? What percentage of all the mutants in prison are just in prison because of their mutant powers? That's it. What percentage of them have uncontrollable powers? They're like the Phoenix are just dangerous. There's nothing about their powers that can be controlled. They're just too dangerous, right? I think that could be something interesting to play with. That the ones that are innocent, but their powers are just kind of stupid dangerous. Or the other point where they're actual criminals and they have powers and they're just kind of. They purposely did killed people or things that are actual criminals who deserve to be in jail, who just happen to have superpowers, right? Who happen to be mutants. So I think that's going to be cool to kind of see as to where the line goes. What is the percentage going to lean towards more? Is it going to be mostly are they going to be mostly mutants that were in prison because they had mutant powers? In prison because they're good people, but their powers are just too dangerous, are just really, really dangerous, or they're just kind of criminals and just took advantage of their powers, their powers went too crazy type thing. So I think that could be interesting to kind of play with that. But then you also have the people like Rebecca, who, she's kind of she was a dark person and stuff, but she was turned into that. So I think that's really going to be cool to see as to where things go with that. And a lot of the people in prison are going to be looting and all that stuff. So I think that's really going to be cool to see as to kind of where things go with this. And I think this is such a big thing to deal with, having all these mutants out there. Hopefully they got to keep all these mutants people out there. Maybe they all start hiding type thing, and a lot of them go just kind of run right away. First of all, they all need to run. And I like to see this kind of having all the mutants out, all the mutants that had collars in the country being out there and going. Maybe they leave the United States and stuff, and they come up to Canada, they come up to all around the world to try and free other mutants around the world, and then we could deal with all the mutants in prison all out in the world and no mutants left in prison for the next season. I think that could be really cool. So hopefully this idea of having all the collars turned off is too big to have it finished off in the rest of the season. I don't think that's going to be that would be fair. I mean, there's only how many episodes do we have left? I think we only have like 16 episodes in total for this season, so we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of go with this. But who knows? Let's just see here on IMDb. What is it saying for episodes? IMDb is saying 15 episodes per season, and tvtime.com is saying 12. So let's say 15 to 16. I think that I saw someone commenting on one of my videos saying 16 episodes. So I think it'd be really cool to see as to kind of, especially with only a few episodes left, only 5 episodes or 9 episodes to 6 episodes left. I think that would be kind of interesting to see as to where things go with this, and hopefully, like I said, having this storyline with the mutants being all out there, and no more mutants in prisons with collars, and all the prisons being empty of mutants, right? Having that go into season 3 would be a way I'd like to see that happening and play with. That way they could just not just the US, but in the season, some of them take off, fly, all the ones who could fly and all that stuff, they could go over to the UK, free all those mutants there, whatever's going on with mutants there, free up mutants over in Canada, like all the other provinces. So worldwide, by the end of this season, it'd be cool to have all worldwide, every mutant prison is completely empty, type things. I think that could be a really fun thing to play with. So you end this season with really kind of something really cool there. So we'll have to wait and see as to where things go with this. Although that would be really terrible. You know, it would suck if that was the end of the season, and then they kind of cancel the show because they want to do something else with mutants for the the Disney streaming service or the movies or something. We'll have to wait and see as to where things go with that. But that's how I'd like to see this going if we do get a season 3. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below. Where do you think things are going? And I'll see you guys next year for this video, for this show. But I'll be seeing you pretty soon for other videos. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.